Diamond hands, boys, diamond hands. What's up, stock bros? First time we're doing with video, so let's begin. Let's follow up on some stocks that we did last week, and then we'll get into AMC, GME, and BlackBerry. So I'll try to make this short so it's not too boring, but anyway, let's get right on to this. So platform is called Thinkorswim. I use it to break down all my stocks. It's a lot more comprehensive platform, and I execute all my trades on Wealthsimple. I'll show you guys that later. I'll be very open with how much I'm trading and where I'm at. So ODT, we saw that the stock was bouncing at about $19. It was riding above the SMA, and currently at that time it was below the EMA. So the SMA is this indicator, this pinkish line, and the EMA is this line that I have highlighted right over here, which reacts a lot quicker to how the price moves. And we figured if the price was able to remain above the trend line, which the reason why we originally had this trend line is the price tried to break it above once, tried to break it above the second time, but the third time it broke above. And then we figured if the stock is able to remain there, then we're gonna see continuous growth. That's exactly what we saw this week. So the stock went up 32%. It's phenomenal. Friday it did get a pullback, but because the stock couldn't make any higher highs and it was just kept oscillating for the last 3-4 days, then this would have indicated a good sell position because we want to make sure that we capitalize. I'm a short-term swing trader, so I will hold stocks for like a week or 2 weeks, sometimes 3 or 4 weeks. So it does depend on your way of trading, whether it's day trading, swing trading, or long-term swing trading. But this is just me. These are my 2 cents. And so I would have sold it there. I wasn't invested in ODT. I was invested in something else. But stock looked good. I don't know what's going to happen right now. The RSI has come down, which indicates that it's not being overbought anymore. But the MACD divergence is the blue line is currently below the beige. That doesn't indicate a good sign. Again, these are indicators and we're simply breaking it down by technicals. Moving on, we have Solo. Currently still remaining above the SMA line. It has made higher lows. So the low of this week was higher than the low of last week. This is a good indication that the price is making its way up. Hasn't done much growth. It did get rejected midweek, but it's still a good buy opportunity. And the reason why I say this is because now that it's close to the SMA line, we can easily set up a stop loss. And what a stop loss is, it will automatically sell for us so that we don't have to make this into an emotional trade. Trading with our emotions suck. It's absolutely brutal. We don't want to go there. I have been. It sucks. I lost some money that way, and I definitely don't want to have this again. So a stop loss, we always set it. If it gets triggered, that's okay. That's totally fine. We can wait for another good opportunity to get set. And I think the next stock actually will be able to see that. SU, the next one after this. So this is what it looks like. So last week we saw the stock at about $10. Yeah, 7 days. So yeah, it was just about $10. And the guys were asking, is this a good buying point? And I said, hey, look, there's a previous resistance written at just about $11. And how we got this resistance is if we were to expand our chart, this is a 180-day chart, 4 hours. So each candle is 4 hours. So within the last 6 months, the price has tried to break above $11 with no success. And so I figured, well, because I'm a trader, a technical trader, that I want to be aware of all of these points. And sure enough, this week it got rejected. It's now coming back to the SMA line, which indicates a much better purchase opportunity. Easier place for us to set a stop loss so that we can have as much growth in our portfolio as ever. So right now the price is running at about $9. So what does that mean? If we were to purchase at this point, we can quickly see how the SMA is behaving. So look back in its history and we can figure out how the SMA behaves. We can see that the price point has usually a hard time breaking the SMA, and many times it gets rejected, so it bounces away from it. And if we have this in mind, we can say, hey, we can purchase at this point, set a stop loss slightly below. In case it reaches there, we'll automatically be filled to stop losing our position, but in case it does bounce above of it, great sign. So right now it's looking at a much better purchase opportunity than last week. I had set a alert with the guys last week, in case the price was to break above and remain, and it didn't. So that's the follow-up on in regards to this stock. It's a much better price point now to buy than last week. And so we move on to our next stock that we saw last week. So I found this stock that was bouncing at the SMA, as we can see once, and here this is what the price point was exactly last Friday. And I said, hey, if it's able to bounce here, it could potentially break the $19 resistance. So how I wrote this resistance is previously it had a very hard time breaking above it. And so whenever the price has a hard time breaking above it, then we want to be aware of it as technical traders. Basically, why couldn't it break above? And so my stop loss got triggered. I was invested into this position. My stop loss got triggered. I didn't lose much money. I think I lost 1 or 2%. And right now we're starting to make our way back to our bottom trend line, which is just about as $15.5. Oops. And so we can see that the RSI is looking much better. It's riding closer to 35. Basically, if it's below 35, that means that the stock's being oversold. And if it's above 70, it's being overbought. The MACD currently has the blue line below the beige. It has tried once, but it did get rejected. And so from these two indicators, the RSI is looking like a good purchase. From the MACD, we may have to wait for the blue line to want to break the beige line, as we can see it right there. So the blue line is currently below and not showing like it will want to. And so, yes, this stock did not go according to plan as of last week. CLOV, I really wish I could trade this stock. It's not available under Wealthsimple right now, simply because it hasn't met the criteria. And I think what it's missing is the 1 year mark. Yeah, I believe it's the 1 year mark. So last week we saw the price riding the SMA line at $13.36. It made highs of $16, almost $17, 30% growth, but since it has gotten rejected. But one thing to keep in mind is we're making higher lows. So the lows of this week, my bad. So the lows of this week are higher than the lows of last week. And it's still above the SMA line. As per RSI, we're more or less neutral on the 45. And the MACD, we can see the blue line is starting to come closer with the beige. That is a good indication for us. That is a good indication for us. So I wish I could participate into buying the stock. I'm not able to, but for everybody else, especially in the US, by all means, this is a very easy stop loss scenario that we can just set slightly below the SMA line, just in case it doesn't go according to plan. Now to the big three. BlackBerry. We're not going to be breaking down the fundamentals or the hype behind it, simply the technicals. I was invested into this last week. I think it was about $18 that I purchased, and I sold it at 28 at the absolute highest. Now you may ask, how did I know about 28? Well, I'm a technical. So what I do is I like to look at the chart in the long run. And if I was to break down BlackBerry over the last, since the year 2000, throughout its whole history, it has had the mark of 28 US dollars as a benchmark. Once, twice, when the third time happened, it broke and just absolutely shot to all the way to 148. when making its way down, the the $30 mark acted as a support. When it broke it, it hasn't been able to recover except for now. So what I have to keep in mind is we have an SMA line and we have a psychological point that people have not being as willing to let go of their positions or willing to sell exactly at that. So 28 has been a benchmark for BlackBerry for the longest time. And so what I decided to do is, because we have the SMA and the trend line which we marked, I decided to sell and cash in case it does break above, then I would add to my position. So if we were to go back to the 180-day chart 4 hours, and what that means is each candle is 4 hours, we have the stock currently below the EMA line. It's not a good indication. And we're quite far from the SMA line. So what it's looking like is BlackBerry will most likely get rejected by another 30% all the way back down to the SMA line and back to its trend line of $9. And the reason why I was able to find this trend line, marking this trend line, is because if you were to go back a couple months, the price has tried once to break above. It maintained very close to it since it's got rejected. And look how perfect this trend line works. So once the price was able to break above the $9.50 and it got rejected, the price was like, nope, I'm staying above of it. The EMA was confirming, as we can clearly see right here, and therefore the price started to make higher highs and higher highs. So right now we are below the EMA, still quite far from the SMA. The RSI is looking like it's in a good position, but same thing with the MACD. The MACD is just pointing straight down. Chances are the stock will not be able to recover until it reaches the SMA back down to just about $10. So just watch out if you are invested into this. Currently, I am not. But I will be looking into purchasing this once it comes back down to $10. So anyway, next one, AMC. I am invested into this. I believe into this, but we're only breaking down the technicals. There's a lot more happening, but we're simply following up with the technicals. So this is what we're looking like. So this is what we are looking like. It's riding above the EMA line. It's riding above the SMA. It has had a previous trend line of $19 or 18.3, which was a previous resistance. And how do we know this? Well, we can go to absolute the maximum chart, and we can see that throughout its history, it has had that $18 as a very strong repelling price. So once, twice, in both ways, whether it's going up or going back down. Previous resistances become new supports, and new support or previous supports become new resistances. And this is a perfect example. So going back to 2016, AMC had just about $19 as a support. And then if you were to follow up back in 2019, 18, I should say, around that price point, it became a resistance. And so right now we're back into that again. There's a lot more happening in regards to AMC. That's why I'm invested, but today we're just simply breaking down the technicals if it does make sense. As per RSI, we're back into the neutral area, which is about 58. And MACD, we are not looking the best, as the blue line is starting to part away. These are just indicators. They don't have to be. There's way too many calculations involved into this, but these are indicators that technical traders will use. Then we have GME, which is the big show where we want diamond hands on, absolute diamond hands. I am also invested into GME. I'm trying to do my part 2 to make sure we capitalize on the short sellers. And so, but from a technical point of view, this is how we are. We are above the EMA. We are above the SMA. Our RSI is looking more or less neutral at about 55. Our MACD, it does have its blue line below the beige, and we are starting to see red candles here at the bottom. MACD isn't looking so good. RSI is more or less neutral. EMA is looking nice because we're keeping the price point above the EMA. The SMA is quite far from it, and so we must be careful in regards to this. As we can see on Thursday, the price was crazy. Again, technicals is just one way to trade. Then you have fundamentals, and then you have hype. Fundamentals will always overrule technicals, and hype will always overrule fundamentals and technicals. And what does that mean is if there's a hype behind the stock, there's no fundamentals, or it doesn't have to have fundamentals, or it doesn't have to have technicals to back it up. It can simply be what people are trying to buy. One perfect example is Doggy Coin. It literally started as a meme, and I believe it was back in 2013. So yeah, it was simply a meme. Wall Street bets. We're trying to bring it back to $1. I don't. Anyway, so there's good stuff that we can find in Wall Street bets, and then there's some really bad stuff. So I would say, whatever we're doing, let's do our own research into seeing if it makes sense. So GME, I am invested into this. It's making sense in the technicals from my point of view, and it is also making sense in the fundamentals and the hype behind it. There's a lot more that happens, but I just want to make sure that everyone is educated into any and every position that it happens. Without going too much into depth into this, we're trying to force the short sellers to pay whatever price that we set when they are forced to fill in their short positions. We can break down what short means, but if we're able to keep the price above a certain area, we will be forcing them to purchase at very unfavorable conditions. Like, we're making them losing a ton of money. And I absolutely love what we're doing here in regards to GameStop. We're playing their game, and we're absolutely crushing them at it. So what can happen? What can we expect next week? So I don't know. But these are some examples that have previously into history that we can look and see somewhat what we should expect. So this is one example. So if we're able to force them to buy at unfavorable prices, and no one is willing to sell, because that's the whole purpose. Do not sell. Hold your position. Keep buying. Keep filling it in. Then we can set the price that they will pay. And what that happens is when they buy millions and millions and millions of shares all at once, the price will skyrocket. And when it skyrockets, it's absolutely crushing for them. And so I wanted to give you guys an example so that we are prepared and we know what we should expect. So if we were to go on our Discord chat, I have here an example of Volkswagen. Back in 2008, the price absolutely spiked past $1,000. Happens very fast. This is what the trading day looked like, and I was updating the guys into what happened. So the previous day, October 24, 2008, price was more or less stable at $200. The next day, they woke up from $200 to just about $400. This is so crazy. 100% gain, just like that. And at the end of the day, it hit highs of 600. Lots of people thought that was the major gamma squeeze, but it wasn't. Once the day closed, everybody's like, oh my gosh, the next day is going to be absolutely crushing. We just finished the gamma squeeze. We're losing money. Well, sorry, the price is going to start to come down. But no, that's not what happened. And I'll show you guys what happened. Once the day closed as high as 600, it got rejected back down to 450. But the next day, as soon as the market opened, we had highs of over $1,000 briefly, as we can see it right here. But during the same day, we had lows of 280. The price will reach a certain point that people will start to cash in. And once that happens, the price will never be the same. I want to make sure that you guys understand that, because we must know when we should cash in. we're expecting something similar to this. We're expecting a huge gamma short squeeze, price skyrocket with diamond hands. We're hoping for that. And so I just wanted to show you guys previously what has happened so that we don't buy at the high points thinking that the price will keep on rising. There's lots of people that are buying just simply based on the hype of it, but you must understand what are some things that can happen. To be fair, this has absolutely never happened into history where we have a collective group of Reddit Wall Street bets guys fighting against the suits. And so I don't know what we should expect. I'll find here Volkswagen on go Volks. So Volkswagen maximum chart since its high back in 2008, the price has never recovered. Never. So I don't want anybody to fall into the trap. I was like, oh, if it made that, it'll keep on making it, or it'll make these highs again. It could. But if it doesn't, it can be crushing. So just an example from the past. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And just quickly, I just wanted to show you my, simple. I do all my analysis on Thinkorswim. But Wealthsimple, that's where I execute all of them. So this is what it looks like. You log in, have three options. I just go on the trade in crypto. Again, this is being very open with everyone. So this is what my account looks like. Because I was trading into GME and AMC, it just says, hey, there's risk. And I'm just trading with over $4,000. On Friday, we had a huge day, as we can see, 20% growth, $7,700 and of profits. But I'm still holding. I have three positions on. I have Air Canada, AMC, and GME. So this is what the account looks like. So Air Canada 91 shares, AMC 85, GME 2 shares. I have traded GME back and forth, so this is just one position that I'm holding on right now. Slightly down by $26, but yeah, anyway, this is my account. It's under tax-free savings. And just briefly here, Nick will make a video in regards to tax-free savings, but I really encourage anyone from Canada to invest inside tax-free savings, because any profits that you make inside there, it's tax-free. You don't have to worry about paying taxes, and taxes are some of the most expensive. It is the most expensive expense that we, I don't think that made sense. Expensive expense. It is the biggest expense that we'll have, regardless if you're rich or poor. And so if we can bypass it, this is a perfectly legal way. Works amazing. I recommend people to invest in tax-free savings, whether you're holding American or Canadian stocks. The only difference is if you have US dividend stocks, which will, anyway, there's a small comma into there. So, but that's for another video. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this. I'm very excited for next week. And before you make an investment, just absolutely make sure, ask questions. We're here on Discord. Just be part of it. Like we're here to help, and we might make mistakes, and you guys can correct us. And then anyway, we're a community of people that are wanting to learn and grow from the market and profit in the meantime. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll talk to you later. See you, bros.